Hey everyone! Today we're going to be talking about how to write an equation when you're given the graph of a line. Okay, so we're going to start with a little quick review of slope-intercept form and slope and all that good stuff, and then we'll run into how to write these equations. So remember from our previous units that slope-intercept form uses the slope and the y-intercept to write an equation for a given line. So remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is my slope and b is my y-intercept. Okay, so we're going to refresh our memories a little bit at that one. Given the following slopes and y-intercepts, let's write some equations. So remember that for each of these, my y equals and my x are always going to stay those values. Y is always going to stay y, my equal sign is going to stay my equal sign, and my x is going to stay my x. The only things that are changing are my m and my b. So for the first one, my slope is 4. So I'm going to do y equals 4x. Remember, slope is connected to x. And my y-intercept is -1. So I'm going to write that as -1. Okay. So if my slope is 4 and my y-intercept is -1, my equation is y equals 4x minus 1. Let's try another one. Again, my y equals is going to stay the same. My slope is -3/5. So -3/5 is my m. Don't forget that your x has to be connected to your slope. Do not forget your x. And my y-intercept is 4, so I'm going to go ahead and add plus 4 to the end. So y equals -3/5 x plus 4. Okay. Go ahead and give a try to number 3 and number 4. Okay. Pause the video, copy this in your notes, try it on your own, put your answers in, all that good stuff. And then when you're finished, come back here and check your answers against my answers. All right, so for number 3, my slope is -3. So I get y equals -3x. My y-intercept is also -3, so -3 is going to go at the end, giving us y equals -3x minus 3. Number 4 was just a little bit difficult. My slope is 1/4, so I've got y equals 1/4 x. My y-intercept is 0. Now, you can put plus 0 at the end here. That's fine with me. Mathematically, it's correct. But remember that we like for this to be as simple as possible. So just like I wouldn't say 5 plus 0, I would just say 5. Just like I wouldn't say 10 plus 0, I would just say 10. I don't need to say 1/4 x plus 0. I can just say 1/4 x. Okay? I will take either of these answers. Okay? But recognize that this plus 0 is implied here. Okay? Now that we've talked about how to plug our slope and our y-intercept in, let's talk about how to find the slope. This should be review from our previous questions, but I'd like to give our brain a little refresher. So remember, when I'm finding the slope from a graph, I'm going to pick 2 points on that graph. Okay. Normally they'll give you the points, but if they don't give you the points, remember that they do need to fall on the corner of the boxes there. Okay. I'm going to find my rise, which is my change up and down. So in this case, I'm going to move up 1, 2 spaces. Remember, because I moved up, this is going to be a +2. Then I'm going to find my run. My run is how I move left or right. In this case, I'm going to go 1, 2 to the right. Again, because I moved to the right, this is also going to be a +2. I'm going to calculate, I need to be writing these over here. My rise is 2, my run is also 2. Remember that I set these up as a fraction of rise over run. So this is going to be 2 over 2. And I always want to simplify this as much as I can. So I'm going to dump 2 over 2 into Desmos and let Desmos tell me that that's equal to 1. Okay. For number 2, I've got my 2 points, blue and blue. I'm going to find my rise. I like to start with the point that's on the left, so I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, and give me -3 for my rise. My run in this case, I move 1 to the right, so my run is 1. And I'm going to write that as a fraction of rise over run, -3 over 1. I'm going to plug that in Desmos, and I'm going to let Desmos tell me that -3 over 1 reduces to just -3. Okay? Remember that the direction that you start from doesn't matter. Okay? If I wanted to start at this point and go 1, 2, 3 up and 1 to the left, I would have a +3 and a -1, which would also reduce to -3, or excuse me, would also reduce to -3 down here. Okay? So as long as you're being careful, it doesn't matter which point you start with. Okay? See if you can refresh your memory and quickly tell me the slope of number 3 and number 4. Write your answers on your paper, pause the video, and then come back here and check your answers with mine. All right, for number 3, you should have gotten that your rise was either -2 or +2, depending on which point you started with. Your run should have been 4 or -4, again, depending on which point. Either -2 over +4 or +2 over -4. Wouldn't matter because when it reduces, I should get -1/2. Okay, same concept with number 4. I went 2 up and 3 to the right, or 2 down and 3 to the left. Either way, they should reduce to 2/3. So now that we've kind of refreshed our memory on slope-intercept form, now that we've refreshed our memory on slope, let's get into the skinny of this, which is how to write equations when they give you a graph. And all I'm doing here is putting those two skills together. So first thing I want to do is calculate the slope from the graph. Hey, we just did a bunch of that practice. I'm going to do rise over run. Here's my first point. Here's my second point. I'm going 1, 2 down, so my rise is -2. I'm going 1, 2, 3 to the right, so my rise is 3. Again, you can go 2 up and 3 to the left, as long as you're careful with your signs. So my slope is rise over run, -2 over 3, which reduces just to -2/3. Okay. My y-intercept, I'm going to come over here to the graph. I'm going to follow that y-axis, and I'm going to find where the axis and the line cross, which is right here. I'm going to see where that happens. In this case, it's 1 up from the origin, so my b is equal to 1. Again, because it's positive, I went up, or it's up, so I make it positive. Again, always being careful with your signs there. So my y-intercept here is 1. And then all I've got to do is exactly what we did at the very beginning of this video, which is plug those things in. The slope is -2/3. That goes in for my m. My y-intercept is b. That goes in for my b. I'm sorry, my y-intercept is 1. That goes in for my b. And then I just put all of this together. Y equals -2/3 x, we're not going to forget our x, plus 1. Okay. So the equation of this line is y equals -2/3 x plus 1. All right, for our second example, I want to find the slope first, so here are my 2 points. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 down for -3 as my rise. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 to the right for a +3 as my run. -3 over +3 reduces to -1. And that gives me my slope. My y-intercept, I'm going to follow the y-axis. I'm going to see where that y-axis and my line intersect. This one's a little tricky because this one happens right at the origin. So my b is 0. I don't move up or down any to get to that point. So in this one, my y-intercept is 0. Again, I'm going to plug that right into my equation. Y equals m, -1, x, not forgetting our x, plus b, which is 0. Wasn't a very pretty 0. So I put those all together, and I get y equals -1x plus 0. But remember that we want this to be as simple as possible. So well, if you give me this, I'm happy with that, I'm fine. But if we want to simplify this, we can also write y equals -x, right? We don't really need this 1 here. -x is okay. And then plus 0, I don't need at all. So I can write it as y equals -1x plus 0, or the more simplified form, y equals -x. Okay. I want you to try 1, 2, 3, and 4. I want you to pause the video, try these on your notes or in your notebook on your own, do the best you can do. And then when you finish with all 4 questions, I want you to come back here and I want you to check your answers against my answers. All right, for number 1, you should have gotten 2/5 for your slope, either 2 up and 5 to the right, or 2 down and 5 to the left. Either way, it should reduce to positive 2/5. My y-intercept is at 2, 2 above the origin, so b is 2. Make my equation y equals 2/5 x plus 2. Number 2, my slope is negative 3, either down 3 and 1 to the right, or up 3 and 1 to the left. Either way, it reduces to negative 3. My y-intercept is 1. It crosses right here at 1 up from the origin. So my equation is y equals negative 3x plus 1. Okay. Number 3, my slope is 3/2, 3 up and 2 to the right, or 3 down and 2 to the left. My y-intercept is here at 3. 3 up from the origin is right there. So my equation is y equals 3/2 x plus 3. Do not forget your x. Okay. Number 4 was only a tiny bit tricky. My slope is negative 2/3, 2 down and 3 to the right, or 2 up and 3 to the left. Either way, negative 2/3 is my slope. My y-intercept in this one is just a little bit trickier because it's down here below the origin, which means I need to make sure that I'm making my y-intercept negative 2 to show that it's down below the origin rather than up like these ones were. When I put those together, I get y equals negative 2/3 x minus 2. Again, if you write this as y equals negative 2/3 x plus negative 2, mathematically that's correct as well, but again, we want to make it as simple as possible. So we don't need plus and negative 2, we can just do minus. Okay. If you have any questions about this, make sure you write them down, bring them to class, and we'll talk about it. Otherwise, I will see you then.